right, so for our last problems for this section, we're going to learn a new formula called the APY. It stands for the annual percentage yield. And so what this is going to give us is a different rate. And you can kind of see here, we've got those bullet points down there that the APY is actually going to be larger than the stated rate because you're compounding interest, like I talked about in the earlier video, where we're compounding interest on top of interest. So we actually end up gaining a little bit more interest than what we're told in the beginning. So we've got this formula here to calculate that. And you can kind of check and make sure your answers work out because they're all going to be a little bit higher than what you're given to start with. All of our letters still stand for the same thing, our interest rate and the number of times compounded. So this one's a pretty straightforward one. And it's also easy to know when to use it because it's going to ask us to find the APY off those formulas that are on page 47 there. The APY is probably the easiest to know when to use because it will actually say APY on it. All right, so let's get back to our example here. My interest rate, moving my decimals over, is 0.041, and I'm compounding quarterly. So I'm just going to plug those in to this formula. And you want to make sure that this 4, if you do have parentheses that come up when you do the exponent, that you close those and the -1 is not part of the parentheses there, that's totally separate. Sometimes if you're having trouble, I tell people that you could just type in this first part, get that answer, like hit enter, and then take that answer -1 if you wanted to on there. So if you're not getting this, but if you type it in correctly, your calculator should give you a decimal answer that we're going to have to round. Now it asked us to round to 2 decimal places. Do not round first. Instead, move your decimal for the percent first. Move the decimal, then round. So I get 4.16. I started with 4.1, or you can think about being 4.10. And now I have 4.16, so it is slightly more. All right, I'm going to let you guys give example 7 a try. So hit pause, give that one a try to make sure that you can set it up. All right, coming back from that pause, I'm going to plug in the interest rate that I'm given, and we're compounding monthly, so that's going to be 12. I'm going to type that in my calculator. And it's going to give me the decimal version. You might be off a couple decimal places. That's okay at the end. Again, that's some calculator settings stuff. I'm going to move my decimal place before I round to 2 decimals. So move it, then round. That's going to be the case. That come up a couple times in the class. You always move it first, then round when we're dealing with percentages. So I started with, let's see, up here I started with 3.7 and I got to 3.76, so slightly more.